everybody. So, hey, you say hi, Knox?
Hi.
Hey, so these are the LC twins, if you are not familiar with them. This is Harper. Say hi, Harper.
Hi.
And this is Knox. Say hi, Knox.
Hi.
Yes, so we wanted to do this brief short video just to address some things that we did fail to mention during our surrogacy process, and that is prices. We're going to run down the price list of what each thing costs, so this will be super, hopefully this is super helpful to anyone, and then we're going to go over the process as far as who has who DNA, how that embryo transfer took place, and yeah, so let's get into it with Knox getting into everything. Thank you, Knox. No standing on couches. Right. So we're going to run down. So let's go back to our dual embryo transfer, which we discussed. And Vernon can kind of tell you more about how that took place. And we'll also let you know what we did with our leftover embryos, because I know we had a great question from Corey. Great questions from Corey. And he wanted to know what we did with our embryos. So what did we do with our embryos after we did use these two little babies?
So dual embryo transfer is just the regular name of transferring two eggs. So that could have been two eggs from one body, or in this case, it's two eggs that were fertilized from one of the both of us. So we had the one egg donor who produced the eggs, and they split those eggs in half, and they fertilized the eggs. And then those that were the best, pretty much, that went through the process of growing, that were genetically tested, our doctors chose the best of the best, one of each, and transferred those. So the short of that is one of the girls have my DNA and the other has Ricardo's DNA. But the only reason that we would have had to do that, which we also failed to mention before, is that could be a criteria if we did not have enough proof for the U.S. to grant them citizenship by having a birth parent. They could have required it. And if that was going to be the case, I still was going to try to get it in a way that those results didn't come to us and it went directly to the government. The only reason that we had to get a DNA test is if they get older and they just want to know. So it doesn't matter what anyone says, who looks like who, this, that, and the third, like without having that test done, no one actually and factually knows.
And we actually don't have the desire to know who is who, because ultimately, of course, they're both our daughters and we love them the same. So we're not interested in finding out who has whose DNA. So yeah, I mean, and just, overview, one has my DNA, one has Vernon's DNA, but they share the same egg donor's DNA, which makes them biological sisters. So,
and just a bit of that. If people's like, well, that's not natural, this, that, and the third. It truly is, because the way that the body works, you can release more than one egg to be fertilized in a short amount of time. So there are twins out there who were fertilized on different days, and if a partner, if the mom per se had intercourse with two different people during that ovulation cycle and released two eggs, that's how it can happen. There are a set of twins who one has a white father and the other has a black father. You guys can look that up. Go down that rabbit hole on your own. So that is how it could naturally happen, but these are just two eggs that were transferred at the same time. And if you look up the definition of a twin, they are twins because they were in utero at the same time.
Yeah. So that's how these little babies came about. So thank you for those, that very, detailed question that you did send. But I do want to go over some prices. So we are going to break down the price list for you to make it easy and to make it quick, right?
Oh, before that, there were more eggs.
Yes, there were more eggs.
However, At the beginning of the process, they asked us to fill out these documents to say, like, if we were done, like, what happened. So they stay in storage for about a year, and then after that year, we could renew to either have them stay in storage or they could be donated to science. We did not renew.
Right. We decided to donate our eggs to science. So the rest of our embryos that were created, we decided to donate those to science to hopefully, and our hope was that, donating them to science would eventually help other intended parents or individuals who wanted to have kids, that it would then help them along the way in somewhere in their process or in whatever way we just wanted to be helpful. So we did donate those additional embryos to science.
You do have the option to donate them to other intended parents, but
I don't think we really knew any other intended parents, but we just wanted to donate them to.
Not like a true option,
right? We wanted to donate them to science, or we could have just continued to store them, and we would have had to pay a yearly cost for the storage if that's what we decided to do. So now let's go over the prices, right? This is the interesting part, and they're over here just destroying my phone, and thank you very much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go over some prices, the price list, okay? Let's start with number one, which is the clinic. The clinic, and I'm going to give you U.S. dollars, right? So keep in mind that the prices that we paid were Canadian dollars, and, the American dollar costs a little more than the Canadian. So I'm giving you the U.S. dollar price, and then I'm going to give you the total of kind of like the entire price.
The other way around.
Oh, the other way around.
Meaning that it's cheaper for us in
yes,
U.S.
in
dollars.
U.S.
So the cost in Canadian dollars was higher than what you will hear.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Yes, higher than you. You heard it from Harper. Higher than you here. Ain't that right, Bubba? Yes, that's right. Okay, so we're going to start with the clinic, right? So the clinic cost us about $33,949, and this was U.S. dollars, right? So the clinic also, keep in mind, covered everything. Covered, screening for our surrogate, for our egg donor, all of that. I said egg donor, not donuts.
The surrogate screening, the mental and physical, the egg donor screening, mental and physical, all the medication, everything that the egg donor had to do in the process, the egg retrieval, everything that had to do in that process. Also, everything that the surrogate Julie had to do in the process to get ready for the transfer as well, and those services paid for the screenings and evaluation and care up until the end of the first trimester. So it is truly a complete catch-all. And the price could have been a little lower, but we opted to do a guaranteed second live birth. So that happens when intended parents know they want to go into it knowing that they want to have 2 children. It may not be at the same time. They just know that they want to have a second live birth. And we did that because the birth is the birth. So we had 1 live birth. But if we wanted to have 2... So we knew we wanted to...
So we knew we wanted to have 2 babies, so we paid for the guaranteed 2 live births package, like Vernon was saying, which means that we were guaranteed 2 live births. Whether, we did the dual embryo transfer and we only got maybe 1 baby the first round, then the clinic was guaranteed that we would have gotten, they would have done another second transfer until we had that second baby. So that was the great part of having our package, which is why it was expensive or a little more on the higher cost.
But we had, in the event that we only did the 1 live birth, we would not have had to pay more because we had 1 live birth with the 2 of them.
Right. That part. So, and the 1 live birth was like extremely cheaper, than this particular 2 live births.
This is also where the GPOT played a role in that because it was lower. So that's the caveat to that price. no matter what it was lower because we qualify for the GPAP through men having babies.
Yeah, stage 1, which is 10% off the clinic cost. So the second cost was the egg donor cost. Egg donors. So the egg donor, what we paid for the egg donor was about, and this included the agency fee, was about $7,114 and about 22 cents. That's what we paid for our egg donor and that particular agency fee. Then we go on to our surrogacy agency fee, and our surrogacy agency fee was about $12,000, and that's a little on the higher cost of the agency fee, but it was about $12,000 for the particular agency fee, and our surrogate cost. So our surrogate was about $40,000. And because the agreement was that she was to have twins, it was an additional $5,000. So, and those were in Canadian. That's in the Canadian price, right? 45,000 Canadian dollars, which equaled about 35,633 US dollars, right? So that's how much we paid for our overall surrogate cost. Was about $35,633, right? Which, and I mean, in our opinion, it's not that bad. So,
I'm hungry, Daddy. I'm hungry.
Okay, we're having dinner soon.
So, up next, you hungry, baby? We're gonna feed you, okay? Up next, we have our attorney fees. Then keep in mind, we had to pay for our attorney, and we had to pay for our surrogate's attorney. And the reason for the attorneys are so that they can come together and they can work with us. Our attorney works with us. The surrogate attorney works with her. And then we kind of come up with a contract and an agreement. A contract and an agreement between us and what the pregnancy is going to look like. So ours...
Also, this is a good point I believe to mention, is that relationship looks different that is totally based off you and your surrogate, because our surrogate wanted to be a part of no financial conversations. And therefore, the surrogacy agency more or less represented her in conjunction with her attorney, and that's one of those things that you go into it talking about. And she was very upfront about that. She said, love everything, but I don't want to talk about money. And we respected that. And I can't really recall that we ever had any real conversations about money with her.
But and we love that about her because, I mean, it's kind of awkward talking about money with your surrogate and, you know, she's carrying a baby. So, I mean, at the end of the day, she was going to be compensated. And she was compensated for everything and for, you know, all of, you know, the changes that were occurring in her life at that time and for travel and all those things like that. What is that? Let's see. Oh, it's an octopus.
Octopus.
Yes. So our particular attorney fees were about $2,600. That's how much we paid for our attorney fees. And we had to pay for her attorney fees as well, which equaled about $1,300, right? So that was the cost for attorney fees. Then after you get your contract and everything in place, you then have to set up an escrow account, right? On how you're going to pay the surrogate, or how the surrogate is paid out is through that escrow account. Our escrow account, we paid just a flat, you know, $1,000 for our to open up our escrow account to place those funds in there for the surrogate to get paid out through those funds.
And I think that is also one of those things that is unique to everybody's contract, because that was in the contract that payments would come through the escrow. So that more or less was a additional call, but it's safer because we're not paying directly. We have to deposit the funds and then they pay the surrogate. Whereas you could have an agreement where you somehow you're paying them directly, you have some type of setup. But for us, it was much easier. Even though we had to do it anyway, it was much easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
The other caveat to that is that your time in the escrow is not like a bank account that's forever. Your escrow has a term. I guess so. That's a thermometer. your escrow account has a term, and that's agreed upon. So our initial term was 12 months, and then every 6 months there was if whatever the reason may have been, if we had to press pause and had to go through something longer, whatever the case may be, every 6 months it would have been an additional $200 in fees. Right. But luckily we didn't have to.
Yeah, so we just paid a flat $1,000. So in total for everything, we paid about $90,000, a little over $90,000. I would say roughly about $93,000. That cost could have been lower based on certain, different parts of the process and how quickly we wanted things to move along. We wanted things to move on our time. So in certain situations throughout, or certain instances throughout the process, we paid a little extra money to ensure that the process was moving how we wanted it to move. So some of those costs could have definitely been cut. But the total price was about $93,723.03. Okay? So we hope that we answered your questions. We hope that this kind of question and answer thing was kind of beneficial to you. And just to go over those things that we did miss in those videos. So, thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this video. And we hope that you enjoyed your time with Harper and Knox, because they were definitely some characters over here on the sidelines doing their thing. You say bye-bye. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
You hear Knox on the sideline saying bye, everybody. Harper, she's more of the camera girl, okay? Loves the camera. Knox, you going to come say goodbye to everybody? Oh, good job. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.